So let's talk about learning how to read. I've never actually used a curriculum, so I don't feel confident in making a recommendation for that. But I'll put a link in the notes, and if you're looking for that, you can go check out her YouTube. Instead, I'm going to go over the main things that you should know before embarking on teaching your child how to read. So first, you cannot begin teaching your child to read until they have mastered the basic letter sounds. They need to know all the letter shapes and their corresponding main sounds. So for the consonants, they each have the main sound, like G is G. You don't have to teach G and J. And then for the vowels, they need to know the short and the long sound. So if your child doesn't know these, you could just introduce one a week and go over that and work on it until they do. So once they do know all the letter sounds, you should continue reviewing all of these every day. A simple letter chart or drilling these until they are well grasped. So you could get a letter chart like this one. I got this one for free. And you could, rip these out and hang them up, or you could just use the book as is. So you could just go over the letter sounds like this. The bad thing about this one is that it only has one picture, so it only shows the short sound of A. It doesn't show the long sound. Or I used this method when my son was little. We just made a craft for each letter, and I just hung them up down our hallway. And at the beginning of the week, we would go over all the letter sounds that we'd already done and then reviewed them throughout the year. And for my daughter, I actually had made a whole letter chart like this. I had just gone to the dollar store and gotten a poster board and these cute glitter letters. And I actually drew most of the pictures, so this one's like a cutout. So I drew two pictures to show the long sound. So we would say A says acorn, A says apple, B says balloon, B, and so on. So that way we could just practice all the letter sounds. And I just introduced one letter at a time each week. So there's lots of ways of going over the letters. But once they have those under control and they're ready to go to the next level, then there's two main methods for teaching reading. So the more traditional way is to present your child with a small passage and you read it to them and you go over it a number of times with them until they have learned it. So the idea is to this method is that they will internalize the patterns without the formal phonics lessons. But most educators don't recommend this method. If you feel like it would work for you, you could check that out. I'm going to put a link to that down below. The second way to teach reading is to introduce one phonics sound at a time. The reason why this is the more preferred method nowadays is that most people don't intuitively discover English patterns. Let's face it, English is a very challenging language, and for every pattern, there's always an exception to that. So in the next videos, I'm going to break down all the levels of teaching phonics style of reading. But whichever method you choose, check out the next video for the basic skills that you'll want to teach your child.